We are live. Good evening, everybody. How are you doing? Nice to see you all tonight. We are here with Andy Martin, FPL tactician.
Welcome. Hi. Good evening.
And we are joined by three special guest nights. So we have FFS scout Luke DeSable.
Hello. Thanks for inviting me on.
It's good to have you, mate. Thanks for coming. We have James Alapran.
Hi, how you doing?
Very good, mate. How are you?
Super.
Good. And we have Planet FPL, James.
Hello, Dave. Thanks for having us on. Let's start the way we always start these streams, mate.
Yeah. It's a simple goal. FPL tactician, James Alapran. Love that.
Everyone but Lordy Leroy after we got him in his draft.
Yeah, well, I didn't tell you this before, James, but actually I really wanted him. That if he hadn't picked him, I would have had him. But now you can support me instead because I picked Ashley Cole.
Done.
Nice. Right, so yeah, welcome everyone. You can't see me tonight. In fact, I've realised I've got a click between people. You've just been all looking at Andy Martin for the last 2 minutes, but I'll make sure you can see the different places sometimes. There you go. Have another one. So yeah, we've got a special stream tonight, and we are going to be looking back at the half season that's just gone, and we're going to be looking ahead to the second half of the season. And we'll see how it goes. We've never had more than 2 people on before. What could possibly go wrong? I feel like we're going to be on to a winner one way or another, and it's going to be a good evening. So we'll start off. I'm going to go to James Alapran to begin with, who's going to be Jamie on the stream tonight. Jamie, can you just tell us about the closing of the spreadsheets, the opening of the website? How's all that going? Is there anything that people need to do? That sort of stuff.
I think it's gone pretty well. I think it's gone flawlessly well, thanks to Sean, Ragtime Willie, at Ragtime_Willie. Give him a follow. We've passed all the data from the sheets into the website. So all you need to do is go on the website, www.fancychatman.com. Everybody in the chat will know this. Go in. You can now put in your full URL of the your spreadsheet link, or you can just put in the ID like the site tells you to do, and it'll bring you through your team. I did it earlier. It seemed to work pretty well. And I think we've only had one person say that their team isn't exactly right, and over 500 people have done it so far. So we think it's working pretty solid.
Cool, great, good news. So yeah, if you're watching the stream, you probably already know all of that. But if you know people that aren't as avid as we all are, please do tell them to try and get it done sometime before Wednesday at 6:30, preferably by Tuesday, so that we don't have a deluge of players at the end. But massive credit to you, James, for all the work you've done on the sheets and also for helping it transition over. And obviously, Sean and a whole bunch of other people have helped with various stages of different things. But big thanks to you. So we're going to go over to FPL Tactician now. Andy is going to talk to us about our half-season polls and a bit of a quick half-season review before we get into the meat of things.
Cool. Yeah. Cheers. I mean, I had a good time yesterday afternoon. A lot of interaction on Twitter, which is nice. So it's just good to review everything that happens. So, for new players that are tuning in tonight, I tried to get in a few things that you should be doing for the second half of the season. So I put in the polls about the Scout leak, which is a lot of fun. So if you're not following CM Scout, give him a follow, because every Tuesday he'll give this detailed story before he reveals a team leak ahead of the game week. So yeah, we'll just follow him and he'll do that. It's a lot of fun though yesterday, reminding me what stories he did, like the tractor parade. He went to the Christmas tractor parade in Suffolk. What was it, Doodles at Leeds? So we went FPL Doodles, drew some pictures and about Ian Hart's injury, like his bruised thigh, which was fun early in the season. And Butlins, of course, as well. Another fun one. So he makes it fun. Just follow CM Scout if you're not already. But the team leaks come from his elaborate story, so give him a follow.
Did Steve Thornton to Butlins win the competition?
It did win the poll, which is, I thought it would. I mean, there's some obvious polls and obvious winners. Like we did goal of the season yesterday, and I knew Titus Bramble was going to win that. What was it? Game week 2 or 3? Was it early in the season?
It was early. Yeah.
Titus Bramble. If you missed it, Titus Bramble scored from 70 yards in his own half, which is a lot of fun. Seeing that. Did he just walk out of defence and saw who? I can't even remember who were they playing in that. Do you remember who they were playing?
Was it Derby, I think?
Derby. Just saw Puma off his line from 70 yards away and thought I'd have a go. So that was goal of the season. And then we did other stuff as well. So obviously got James Planet FPL on tonight. His streams make the match days every Wednesday and Saturday. Tune in for the streams, and they're cracking. It's like a soccer Saturday kind of thing that we do. My favourite moment, and it won the poll as well, was the scenes moment. So he's doing the dance there already. So when because he does with FPL Captain, does the graphics. So North London Derby, if you missed it, North London Derby, it's 0-0. Ashley Cole's been sent off early in the match. It's 0-0. James is worried. Suddenly there's a goal at Highbury, 93rd minute. James is thinking, oh, that's it. It's done. 1-0 Arsenal. We've lasted all that time. Comes up with scenes from FPL Captain. And then chaos when he finds out that Teddy Sheringham's got the winner. And James goes to the moment of being in the clock end, dancing around. But the funniest thing for me, knowing that was coming up, was James's son Harry on his knee about 2 minutes before that. And I'm thinking, Harry, go to bed, because if this goal comes in, it's going to be an absolute nightmare. So that's probably my moment of the season.
James, what did your wife say when that all went off?
I was just thinking, to be honest, if Harry had stayed, that might have been his best Spurs moment ever for the rest of his life, and it could have been the peak right there. What did she say about it? I think I just went, oh yeah, sorry, I forgot a bit loud in there, love. Not a lot to add. I just lost myself in a moment, right? So
you were feeling that moment, didn't you?
What's that? Sorry, James?
You were feeling it.
Yeah, genuinely in that moment, not in the moment, because I'd kind of pre-thought in my head, right, if it's, because there was a nice build-up, if it's a Spurs goal, I'll lose it, I'll go for it. But then when I sat down, I could vision myself in that moment, and it's the only moment I've had like that in the 2.5 months or so without football, and that's a huge compliment to you guys to even making it like that real in that moment. So yeah, it was hilarious. The Gooners got told, didn't they?
It felt exactly like my real fantasy experience, because in that game I had David Seaman, I had Ashley Cole, who was sent off, and I also had Henri as captain, who was then substituted as a result of the injury, I think. So for me, it was probably my worst moment of the season, which is like normal fantasy.
Luke,
so thanks.
Your problem, Luke, is that you should have researched a bit more before the game.
Yeah, I should have known, shouldn't I? Damn.
No, it was great to see. I mean, if you watch it back now, it's so loud. I had it with headphones on when I was watching it.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I didn't realise how loud it was. It's so funny to watch. So go back and watch it if you get that stream. It was game week
15.
15 was it? It's double game week, wasn't it? Yeah, first part of double game week.
Yeah, 2 hours and 11 minutes roughly. I'm not saying I watched it back or anything.
What a moment. Yeah, and then yesterday we did some other polls as well. So we did the West Ham manager. West Ham have had 2 managers. They've both been shit. West Ham are terrible in this game. I think McLeish could go as well, second half of the season. The way that West Ham are doing. Yeah, who's been the troll of the season? Because that was a quite popular poll.
Should we go around? Who's yours been, Andy? Who's been your troll?
My troll, personally. I mean, Dwight York is just hilarious. No attacking returns from Man U, playing up front. I mean, I could score up front for Man U. but Dwight York has not got any attacking returns. So he's got to be troll of the season for me, I'd say.
Okay, good pick. Luke?
Well, for me personally, it's Johnston, simply because I think he's owned by like 70% of the game for good reason. Again, I did loads of research and I felt Johnston was the best pick at 7 million. So I had him in my team for like the first 3 or 4 weeks and he was doing pretty well. And then I thought I'd get clever and take him out as I usually do, overthinking things. And then he just went on a ridiculous run, scoring every week. Couldn't believe it. And then again, I looked again and thought, oh, do you know what? He's actually playing up front every now and then. He's switching around with Rickard. It's just the perfect situation. We're going to have to get him back in. So about 3 weeks ago, I took a -4 to bring him back in. And he's done absolutely sweet FA in the last 3 games. And now I want rid of him again. So I just know as soon as that happens, he's going to go mental again. So yeah, he's definitely my troll because the amount of points he's been getting for all my rivals, my God.
Sounds like you trolled yourself there, Luke, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I have. As usual, I'm my worst own enemy.
Yeah, thanks for sharing the knowledge with us, though.
No probs.
Jamie.
Robbie Fowler, obviously. Robbie Fowler was an interesting one for us to watch because it was a double game week and we knew that everyone was piling into him, and then we knew before most people that he did nothing. which I kind of I quite enjoy those moments where, you know, the Hart penalty miss in the first game is the first example where you know it's going to break hearts straight off the bat. But I didn't really enjoy the feeling of Fowler going to be doing nothing in that week. So maybe it finally caught up with me that lots of people want their captains to do well.
Yeah, I agree. That was painful to watch that. I mean, it was a decent pick, Fowler captain, but it's horrible.
And even triple captain as well.
Horrible. How about you, James?
Honestly, it's like as soon as I got rid of him, he started doing something. If I left him out, he returned. If I put him in, he did nothing. Dab his ass, obviously. Got him back in, nothing so far. Was going to get him back in before he returned. So that would be the one for me. But I agree. I think biggest of all would be Fowler. And I think just notable mention for Svensson seems to be the one lately that a lot of the people had the undercurrent of serious interest in him and never got nothing out of him.
Yeah, good pick. He was in my zombie team up until today, so glad to see the back of him.
Yeah.
He'll return next week now.
Exactly, yeah. No one really trolled me in my zombie team, although I did have Sereni over Schmeichel, and that's not worked out well. So I'm going to say Sereni, but that doesn't really count as one, does it? But we'll give it. Can
I just say as well, like Jamie mentioned about the Hart missed pen. One of the funniest things for me was the Matt Elliott red card.
Yeah, that was for me as well. Cheers.
But every video I was watching, every pod I was listening to. So FPL General was on the Wolfpack pod, which is another great listen, normally on a Monday night as well. And the General was mentioning get Elliott in. Luke was saying get Elliott in, and I'm sat there like I know what happens like 4 minutes into the game. It's just kind of like the opening 4 minutes of that game week. I had my head in the pillow thinking everyone's going to be.
It's absolutely devastating 4 minutes into a double game week because you feel like your double game week is completely done 4 minutes in. You really do. Just like, oh my god. Luckily in this game though, obviously you know they can play the second game because the bans don't come in for a little while. So I still had a little bit of hope that you might get something in the second game, but no, it wasn't to be. But yeah, the drama, man, it's unbelievable. You do all that preparation, and 4 minutes in, you're like, oh, forget this.
I think some people think that it's scripted or think that we're doing it on purpose some of the times. It's unreal.
Yeah, I swear you're looking at my team every week. Yeah, definitely.
Andy, is there anything else you wanted to add, mate, before we move on to the next bit?
No, I mean, we've done Troll of the season, but there's obviously heroes as well. So there's been a lot of heroes. We brought up 4 yesterday, so the postman, obviously not for Luke, but the postman's been flying unexpectedly. And then you've got the Holy Trinity, the Ipswich defenders, who are just off the scale. It seems like every week they're picking up bonus points. They've got Herman Ariderson, Titus Bramble, Mauricio Tarico. For new players, I think you've got to go for one of those guys, 4.5 million. They're possibly the heroes of the season, perhaps.
Here's a quick question. I'll just ask everyone just to give me a number. If you were pricing up Herman Ariderson next season, what would you price him, Andy?
5.5.
Luke?
Yeah, 5.5.
Jamie?
Yeah, same.
James? Nodding.
Agreed. Spot on.
There you go. Could be 5.5. Get your bargains now, guys, while you can. Not saying there will be a second season, by the way.
FPL would price him 6.
6. Better make him 6 then, haven't we? People hate that. Right, let's move on. So what we're going to do, as we look back over the half season, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the league table, we're going to look at the stats, we're each going to pick a player in each position who we like and a player who we think is going to do well, and then we're going to go through each of the clubs and look back on how their half season has been so far, before we start looking forward to chip strategies, fixtures, and a bit of a general second half preview. So there's a lot to get through, but we will get through it and we'll try and rattle through it bit by bit. So let's get the league table up for starters. We're not going to be covering injury news, suspension news. If you want any of that stuff, look at Luke's stream from earlier in the week. which it was excellent, Luke, by the way. Thank you very much. So check that out. Luke's been doing a regular midweek stream, so watch that for that sort of news. So let's go through the league table, shall we? We can see here we've got Middlesbrough top, Man United second, Arsenal third, but those top two are well away with it. And then down the bottom we've got Newcastle in the relegation zone by 5 points, and Southampton and West Ham down there as well. So we know the league table. We'll talk about the clubs in a minute, but first we're going to talk about the players. So we are going to go by average rating by position, and what I am going to ask each of the guys to do is give me one player in that position that they like, and one player who they think is going to have a good second half of the season in that position. Their criteria for saying they like them can be anything. It could be they had a great first half of the season. It could be that they like their haircut. So that is totally up to them. So I'm going to go in the other direction. So I'm going to start with James. Tell me, mate, goalkeepers. Who have you liked first half of the season, and who do you think is going to creep up there?
I'm just laughing seeing a Keller at the top of that list. I think I'd say Crossley at 4.5. I know obviously at the same value everybody's on about Dean Kiley at the moment, so I don't want to say him. Just think he offers a cheaper alternative to obviously the other Middlesbrough guys. I think they're liable to have a little bit of a drop off, as sort of seen from the Everton result last week. But he offers a nice rotation, 4.5. He's a cheaper way into Middlesbrough to cover off if you haven't got like your Gordons and your Gilgs and the like.
Yeah, nice. And who do you think is going to pick up?
Oh my goodness! Not whoever's in goal for Spurs. Possibly Kudicini, actually. I'd say might be a shout. He's expensive. You'd be hard pressed to go for him. I think Desailly's cheaper than Kudicini as well, isn't he? But the one thing with Kudicini is you've got no worries on the rotation perspective of it. And I had the hump with Chelsea from that perspective after game week 1. So Kudicini, Chelsea got to get better, surely. They can't be staying in that position in the league. So Kudicini maybe to have a better second half of the season.
Okay, nice. Cool. We'll move on. Guys, you can repeat what other people have said, by the way. Don't feel you have to pick, otherwise we'll end up with every goalkeeper in the league, potentially. But Jamie?
I think Kylie's done pretty well, obviously, and everybody's picking him now. He's outperformed maybe what people expected. He's cheap. There's quite a lot of 4.5 million cheap goalkeepers, so it's there's plenty to pick from. I don't think there's much between them actually. Kylie's had a first half quite well, but I think you could pick others, Schmeichel and whatnot. But someone who I think is going to do a bit better in the second half, I hope he's going to do a bit better second half, is Nigel Martin, because I think Leeds have been pretty good defensively at home, if I'm not mistaken, pretty solid, and they've got some extra fixtures. And I've got them in my zombie wildcard, so I need him to do well.
Fingers crossed for you, sort of. Good picks. Luke?
Standout. It's clearly been Kylie for me. It's insane because this is where like playing the game and then obviously doing the fantasy is a completely different thing, because you can see from Kylie's stats there, they're not particularly good. He often gets sold or even dropped by Charlton in most of my sims halfway through. So I never once considered him. Plus, you factor in the fact that Charlton and Southampton are pretty much relegated every season. You're just sitting there thinking they're going to concede like 7. I've got them down as 71.8 goals on average they concede a season. Now, we had a good version of Kerbishley in our game, and they've made some great signings, so they've made a big difference. But he was never on my radar. And then to see him just putting in these man of the matches and these saves he gets. The average ratings aren't really important for keepers. It's just a position that never gets high ratings, as we can see from that list. Like 7.3 was the best. I think maybe looking at man of the matches and stuff is probably a little bit better. But he's just been incredible. He just gets those save points every week. Him and Schmeichel, fantastic. So, yeah, I have to say he's the best keeper. I haven't had him all season. I'm probably going to fix that on wildcard, to be honest. No messing around. I don't see it slowing down.
Yeah, he's done great on the save points, especially. He's now in my zombie team, yeah. And who is going to pick up for you, mate?
I actually think Seaman, he's still good value at 5 million, but I just think Arsenal at home haven't been as good as we expect them to be. They're the second best team in the league defensively at home. And they've got some nice games, I think, including, a double. And they've got some really nice home games, actually, if you look through their fixtures for quite a while from now to the end of the season. Mm-hmm. So I'd be surprised if he didn't. He's not going to get that many save points, but I think that, the clean sheets will start rolling in. I hope. I've still got him.
Nice, that sounds good. Andy, just to say, Andy, before I come on to you, I can't see the chat, so if there's anything going on in the chat, do let me know. I can't see it on my screen. But Andy, who are your goalies?
Yeah, I mean, Kylie, obviously, again, has done great first half of the season. I'm going to say Schmeichel, just for the save points that he's got. So when you think, oh, Villa conceded, Schmeichel might get 1 or 2 points, and then he's suddenly on 6-7 points because he's made 4 saves. I think it's been a real good pick for people, and they kept him in his team, and they've done really well with him. So I would say Schmeichel.
Nice, yeah, third highest point scoring goalkeeper, I think, which I was surprised about. And who's your player to pick up? You got anyone there?
I still have this feeling that Richard Wright's going to come in for Seaman. Seaman's 38. Any sort of injury or niggle or red card, Richard Wright comes in, and I reckon he might hold that spot. So that's why I've picked him in my zombie team as well.
Okay, nice. Like it. Bold. That's what we want. Okay, defenders. So, Jamie, I'm going to come to you first on defenders. Who is your favourite defender so far?
I mean, I quite like a defender who can give you attacking returns, so I'm going to go for Dean Gordon.
Okay.
Although it might not be it wouldn't be necessarily my first pick, but I enjoy watching or even if it's simulated, following a player that can get attacking returns and excite me. So Dean Gordon's, and he's done pretty well. I think he had a bit of a lull, but he's playing left midfield a lot of times these days, so hopefully he can get returns.
Yeah, nice. I love Dean Gordon. Absolutely love him. Look at that. 8 attacking returns in 15 games is amazing. And any player that you think will improve?
I mean, it's not this someone who will improve, although he's been doing quite well under the radar, but Colin Hendry, here's a tip from a Scotsman. Colin Hendry is a good under the radar pick.
Okay, Colin Hendry, nice.
He's been getting a lot of bonus. He's been getting these teams like Bolton, and same with some other teams like some of the teams like Ipswich are getting defenders are getting a lot of the bonus points because there's not too many goals. Perhaps they're getting a clean sheet and they get the bonus as well.
Yeah, cool. Do jump in, by the way, anyone, if you've got any comments, if you want to slam anyone's suggestions. Not that I don't think Hendry is slammable. Good choice. Luke.
He's a bit old.
He is a bit old, yeah, but he's got great stats. We'll give it to him. And great hair. Luke, how about you?
I can't say Horidison because I've not owned him all season yet again. So I will go with Silvestre, who sat in number 2 there. I think of the 6.5 million midfielders at the beginning of the season, he was probably the least favoured. I think most people went Hart, obviously, and then a few went Cole. I was kind of championing Cole a bit. And Silvestre, I didn't think would do that well. Although, obviously, I thought Man United would keep the most clean sheets. I just didn't think he'd get that many attacking returns. The bonus wouldn't be that good, and he occasionally would get rotated. But to be honest, apart from his injury, I think he's played nearly every game. Started off with 3 clean sheets, I think, game weeks 1 to 3. And has just popped up at the right times with goals and assists. I mean, he's only got 1 goal and assist, as you can see there, but it feels like he's been doing better than that because he gets bonus quite a lot when they keep the clean sheets as well. So yeah, I think he's been a great pick, to be honest. And again, for the second half of the season, when he comes back in, I don't think a lot of people will have him. And he's, for me, the best way into the Man United defence, like comfortably. So
great. Any player to improve?
I mean, he's already pretty much started to do it, but I think Arca, and I know Andrew's really annoyed now because I've just taken his pick.
No.
In fact, I'm going to leave Arca to you. You know what? I'm going to say Tome. I'm going to leave him because Tome's actually been doing pretty well as well. As you can see, his average rating is still high, 7.63. I think Sunderland have got some quite nice home games. I mean, players don't really keep bonus away from home that often, the defenders, but I think in his home games, because of that, you see that 20 for bravery there, that basically means he puts himself into every challenge and every header, and as a result, he just is going to get high rating because he's always in the action. So yeah, the clean sheets in the home games a bit iffy because it's Sunderland, but I'll see him getting bonus a lot because I pretty much only see him, Arca, and Phillips is capable of even getting the bonus in that team really. So Phillips will have to score to get it, and then it's basically a two-way fight between him and Arca. So for 0.5 less, I really like Tome, and I think he'll finish possibly higher than he is already in the average rating by the end of the season.
Okay, very nice. Thank you. Andy Martin.
Yeah, so for me, one of the best so far this season is one of the Holy Trinity, and I'm going to give Titus Bramble. He's in my zombie team.
Not
He's
anymore,
always quite
not,
good.
mate. Not anymore.
No,
He's
not
fine now.
anymore. But he was. He was. He's about the only defender that did any good in the first half of the season. Yes, he's popped up with a goal, but it's just as average rated as the other Ipswich defenders as well. He's done so well compared to how he is in real life. He's a monster in this game. So head everything out and just be a rock solid defender really in that Ipswich defence. So Titus Brambles had a great first half of the season. Yeah.
Nice. And your player to pick up?
Well, there's three people. I know it's a bit greedy having three, but there's three 5.5 million midfielders that I liked from day one, and that's we mentioned two already. So Gordon, Arca, I love Arca in this game. The best defender, first man on the team sheet, capable of attacking returns, out of position. But a guy who's been injured and is coming back soon. The other 5.5 million mid defender, yeah, you got it, Ricardo Gardner. I think he's going to come in and smash it up for Bolton on that left flank. So just watch out for Gardner. When he comes back, I think he's going to be a really good punt if you can get him in early. I'm not sure about their fixtures, but Gardner for me could have a good second half if he's fit.
Yeah, nice. We're going to come to you, James. James, before you give it, what do you think of Gardner?
I've not got much more to add on top of what Andy said. Was it against Leeds when he got the 9 rating and then he picked up the injury straight away? So it was quite a prominent fixture as well, wasn't it? Yeah, Leeds opening day. Yeah, I don't know enough about him, so I'll go with Andy on that. Andy's regularly been saying about him and Arca in terms of certainly when Gardner comes back, go and have a look. The problem with a side like Bolton is there's not a great entry point on them fixture-wise, and actually goes for a number of teams in the second half of the season in terms of some of them fixture runs like we had, like really successive Ipswich home fixtures and that. On paper, it just doesn't appear that way in the same way in the second half of the season.
Yeah, nice. I know you're going to talk more about fixtures, but even as a glance here at Bolton, you can see there's nothing really that stands out as like a good jumping on point, like you say, but we will have a chat about fixtures in a bit. Who are your defenders, James?
It would have. I think best shout is what Luke said is Silvestre, but for myself it would have to be Haridason, because as well when I went on it was him, Bramble or Tarico, and actually at the time Haridason was the lowest scoring of the three, and I just went with that safety net of the bonus points, thinking that some of the attacking returns of the other two were likely to calm down. So he's done me a great turn, Haridason, and the player I actually think will improve the most is actually Ian Hart.
Yeah, nice. That's. I mean, yeah, he's not done badly, has he? But he's got a lot more in him. It feels like.
Yeah,
I think.
I think particularly over this short stretch coming up as well.
Yeah, I think you could include him. I think you mentioned at the beginning that he could be one of the trolls of the season, but he's definitely got the chance with. I think they've only played like 7 home games, haven't they, or something?
Yeah.
And they've got a ridiculous run coming up. So yeah, you got to say Hart, haven't you?
Yeah, nice. I like that Ian Hart call. I mean, he was so popular at the start of the season, and he's really dropped off. So I'm sure he'll get popular again soon. But yeah, nice picks, guys. We'll move on to midfielders, and we'll come to you first, Luke.
I just want to big up John Terry as well. He's going to do bits as well. Watch out.
Okay, bigging up John Terry. We're in a niche market right now.
Although I think he's got like a ban incoming at some point, so
okay,
he's got like 3 yellows or something. So yeah, watch out for that as well.
Terry's one's watch.
Midfielders. So I mean, there's an obvious pick, but I didn't have him, so I'm going to leave him for someone else. It's been a bit of a minefield midfield, to be honest. I think it's been pretty much dreadful all round. I mean, when Veron sat there at number 1 with 7.94 average rating, I mean, he gets high ratings every sim you do. That's never a problem for Veron. I mean, probably the lowest I've ever seen for a season is like 7.7. But in terms of his actual output, I think he's been pretty disappointing, especially as we nearly all had him at the beginning of the season. So apart from that, I think for me, the only pick I've really enjoyed is Salakovic, just because he's had the penalties. There's been drama with him every week. Is he playing midfield centre? Is he AMC? What's he going to do this week? His rating's been pretty much shocking. He doesn't get bonus, but he's in a lot of people's teams, and he just picks up those goals. And I just, for him as well, he's also going to be my player to pick up for the second half of the season, because I think as Teddy's current ability starts to come down and Everson starts to come in and out of the team, I think you'll see Salakovic maybe push up to AMC every now and then, and hopefully start getting more goals, because yeah, it's a hard pick in midfield, but I think he's in quite a lot of people's teams, and for good reason, because he's not really shown what he can do yet.
Yeah, he's matching Veron's attacking returns pretty much. Veron's got 16
Yeah.
games, 6 goals, 3 assists. Selakovic 6 goals, 2 assists. So can't complain
Yeah.
about that.
I mean, there's a number of players, isn't there? I mean, I don't want to list them all because these guys will take them, but Dennis Wise is in your list there. He's even cheaper still at like 6.5. He's probably not far off the returns that Veron and that lot have got. It's been a minefield in midfield, it really has.
Yeah, it's been dire. Andy?
I'm going to go with someone who's been quite consistent. So he got bought by Charlton. Jason Wilcox has been ticking along very nicely all season on that left wing. I think he's played most games for Charlton since he's been there, and he's just ticking along nicely for his price. 5 million. It's 5 million, isn't it? 5.5, 5?
5.5.
5.5. Yeah, just ticking along nicely, getting returns for his price. It's great value for money, and it's someone you can just rely on to come in if you want a cheap bench fodder, or if he's got a good fixture to play him. And he's ticked along very nicely. Yeah, I mean, Charlton have made some good signings to help them where they are in the league. I didn't expect them to be 8th in the league. It's pretty impressive for Charlton. Normally they're in the bottom 5 every time, so maybe we'll see him slide down the table. But
it's almost as much of a surprise as Middlesbrough being top. Charlton being 8th, I feel like it's pretty shocking, but they're doing well.
Yeah.
You got a player to pick up or not?
I'm going to say what I just said last week about Harry Kewell. They've got more fixtures, Leeds than anyone else. Second half, doubles coming up. I think Kewell's, although it's quite expensive, 8.5. I think Kewell can do well, and he's coming up next 5 to 8 weeks.
Decent stats.
Yeah, looks good. I hope he does well. Let's move on to James.
Thanks for nicking mine, Andy. I'm going to go for that's all right. I'm going to go for someone therefore who did me very well until injury, which was Solano. Was offered great value at 6 million. There's been loads of people in and around that value. So I'd go for him up until the injury. 4 returns in 10 as you're showing there, Dave. He's decent enough at his value. And I think the one, sorry to go back to Leeds again, but McPhail over this next period as well is someone. I think he'll end up in so many teams at that value. It's difficult to resist. I know you guys were arguing about sort of McPhail and Kewell last week, but the 3.5 million saving and what you can do with that, I think will just draw people towards McPhail. Kewell was a bit of a troll for me as well, really, because I always felt like every week in the commentary he was very close to doing something for me, but never really did. So, I mean, 1 goal is not really... There's a few assists in there as well. It's not really what you're looking for at that sort of value, I'm afraid. So, I think McPhail is the one really to keep an eye on in the short term. And actually, Leeds' fixtures really, to be honest, are good till the end of the season now.
Yeah. I mean, saying Kewell there, just going back into Kewell, saying 5 attacking returns, I think he'll get 10 more before the end of the season, personally.
As he should, with the fixtures and at his value.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think... He's underperformed, hasn't he, so far, Kewell? But McPhail's also, you could say, overperformed. So it'd be interesting to see whether it reverts to mean or... But I think McPhail at 5 million almost looks a no-brainer, really. But Kewell could smash him, but we'll have to just wait and see on that one. But yeah, good picks. Jamie, come to you last on midfielders.
I mean, the one I've enjoyed the most by far is the Postman, AJ, Alan Johnson, because when I picked my zombie team quite late in the day, too busy with the sheets to do any research, I just picked a bunch of Scottish players, and he's turned out he's the second most owned now, over 60% own him now, and I think he's the second highest perhaps point scorer. He must be up there in terms of point scoring. My worry about Johnson is he doesn't keep it up, but he seems consistent. He seems like he's going to go all season. So hopefully he will go all season.
Yeah, nice. Okay, just going to ask a quick question to the other 3. Just jump in, guys. So Johnson's got 13 attacking returns so far this season in 20 games. He's got 18 games to go. I'll come to you one by one. How many attacking returns do you expect to see from him from now till season end? Luke?
I'd say he's going to get like 3 goals, 3 assists, and be about 7.2 average rating by the end of the season.
Okay, Andy?
I'll say he's going to score 1 more goal, but probably get 5 assists.
Okay, and James?
I'm going to be honest, first number coming in my head was 6 for attacking returns. Yeah, I don't think he'll maintain the level that he has.
Okay, interesting. Nice. James, what about you?
I'll be happy with 6. I mean, I've got him in my zombies now. I'll be 6 attacking returns would be probably not bad for his price still, I'd say.
Yeah, I was going to say, can I just... The reason why I think that might happen is because if Ekiog goes soon, which he's wanted, and he nearly always leaves Middlesbrough, so if that happens, it causes a bit of a chain reaction usually, where Fester then moves from left-back to centre-back, and then Gordon, who's left wing, moves to left-back, and then Johnston, who's right wing, ends up on the left, where I think when he's played on the left side, he's barely done anything this season. And his main sort of strength has been when he's been on that right wing, cutting in on his left foot, or also switching with Rickard up front. They rotate during the game. So now I think that on the right side, if that all happens, Greening will probably be on the right side, and it'll be him that goes up front with Rickard every now and then. So Johnston will have to do well to keep it up, I would have said. Mm-hmm. It's all theory, because he might not get sold at the end of the day, but if he does...
Why would you leave top of the table?
Wow, because this is a computer game.
Oh yeah, I forget about that.
Yeah, lack of ambition. He's just chasing the cash, isn't he? Yeah, so Jonathan Greening could be one to watch. That was like that was a bleak moment for Dean Gordon, Alan Johnston, Hamilton, Rickard owners. Everyone's just been trashed there if you're Middlesbrough. But Luke's probably right, so trust him. Right.
Well,
blame him basically if it goes wrong. Right, we're going to go to strikers next, and I can't remember who have I not come to first out of all of you guys.
Me, I think I'm first. Yeah.
Andy, strikers.
Mark Viduka. I can't say his name properly, but
Viduka.
I never thought I had a list with D's and U's, but apparently I have. But yeah, he's my zombie captain, part of my manager of the week heroes. Yeah, he's done fine. I mean, I'd expect him to get that kind of attacking returns. He's a consistent player as well. Normally gets 20 goals most seasons. And those 2 hat-tricks that have come away from home have been amazing for all players. So they're highlights of the first half of the season, really.
Okay, yeah, nice. He's really come to life in the last couple of weeks, especially. What about your striker who you think might improve?
Who might improve? Well, if Hasselbank gets a contract and sorts himself out, he might start to deliver.
Stop stealing my players, man.
There he is, the 52nd best forward in the league so far.
He scored 4 goals or something.
Terrible pick. He's a waste man.
Bad. They've got great home fixtures to come over sort of the next 7-8 game weeks or so, though.
They have.
Yeah, I go Jimmy Floyd, but I can't think of many others that would possibly do well. I don't know really. Rickard's ticking along nicely. I like Rickard.
Okay, yeah, nice. James.
You have to say, as much as I would have said Hasselbank as well, I also wouldn't go anywhere near him. By the way, best player, so it's got to be Rude, isn't it? I mean, you guys obviously slightly underpriced him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's the business. Even when you feel like you miss out with him as captain, you're still regularly picking up the 8 points or so. I do think most people should sell him. That's my advice. That's my absolute definite advice. Please sell him for the benefit of the whole game. Please sell him. I don't see how I can get rid of him at any point. Is how I feel. Also, massive shout out to Teddy just for the game week 15 goal. Was worth the season. In terms of someone who I think will improve, possibly Shearer as well if he can ever get himself fit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice. He's struggling at the moment, and he with his fitness. Still got a few days to go. Probably get injured again. Right, Jamie.
I mean, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Viduka. I think you've picked the best 2 boys that you'd want in your team all day long. Both of them lead Viduka for his fixtures, Van Nistelrooy for his absolute stone cold consistency. I hope he gets injured or something. That would shake things up. Yeah, I don't know if I could add to that. Obviously, Henry's has done pretty well, but could do better. And I have him in my zombie as well, so I've got to pray for him now. He's maybe a little overpriced. I would say he's maybe a little overpriced in hindsight now, but he might prove us wrong. He might catch up in the second half.
Yeah, I think he's underrated, Henry. He's a good player, isn't he?
I mean,
just to touch on him, full team returns. in 17. And yeah, I think people are stuck in their heads because of some of the substitute stuff earlier in the season. But 14 returns from 17, and he's come off early in a few of them. He's brilliant, right?
Yeah.
His biggest problem's Van Nistelrooy. That's it. That's his only problem.
I've got a solution, Luke.
But get them both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you're thinking that Arsenal run is ridiculous. It's impossible not to say that I think that Henry won't catch fire in the second half of them fixtures. The thing with him is he's the man of the matches there, the assists as well. Come the end of the season, he's one of the few strikers who can actually get quite a few assists. He nearly always plays an 8 if he plays from at home. So not a lot of the other strikers need a goal to actually get bonus, whereas he doesn't. So he is still a good captain like Van Nistelrooy, and I mean, a lot of people will probably go Henry instead of Van Nistelrooy, which I can understand. So I do really like him as well, and I think come end of the season, you can't see anyone else apart from Henry, Viduka and Van Nistelrooy being the top 3 for average rating for me. I mean, they're the most expensive for a reason, right? It's hardly groundbreaking.
I've got a solution for that as well, Luke.
Get all 3 of them. Okay.
What's that?
Are you doing it? You getting all 3?
Yeah.
Ooh, big.
Can I just mention as well in the chat, Brad Lurenden saying Henrik Pedersen.
That was my pick. He's stealing my picks. Stop it.
Sorry.
Andy, we'll come to you at the end and you can pick out the selections from the chat maybe.
Sure. Fine. I'll leave it to Luke.
Jamie, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I was going to say that I always like to pick FPL teams, fancy teams, based on points per game, or at least like to look at it. And actually, Viduka is pretty much matching Ruud van Nistelrooy points per game, 6.8 points per game. And Viduka's got those extra fixtures as well. And it's actually Henry is flagging behind at 6.1. Maybe the two early, the 1-pointers maybe pull him down a bit. So there's quite a gap up to, anything can happen in the second half, but caught my eye. And the player I wanted to mention, I'm not as an expert like Luke, but Alan Smith seems to have an unbelievable stats in game. And if he gets a chance, he's done well when he's had a chance so far. So if he gets a chance, then he could absolutely smash it. I don't think he'll get a chance though.
Shame. He looks good, doesn't he? Well, we will come to Luke now. So, Luke, who are your picks?
I think you have to say Pedersen has just been absolutely fantastic. I mean, I was saying at the beginning of the season, he's a player who can get between 10 or 15. He's one of the differentials I picked out before we started the season. I think Andy commented on him saying, yeah, I agree. I kind of like Pedersen. We had a conversation about him. I didn't expect him to do this well, I must be honest. He's well on course for those 15 goals, but it's the fact that he's picking up those man of the matches assist and high rating as well. That doesn't always come. And I think if you click him, I remember from the stream, it says something about him enjoying the style at the moment. If you go to, that's usually a really good sign for players. And I just think he's going to continue to perform. I mean, the value at 7.5 has been fantastic. Like I say, he doesn't even need to get the goal. He'll chip in with an assist. He'll get you some bonus points. He's like a mini Van Nistelrooy almost at the moment. So despite it being Bolton and people saying, you don't want a Bolton striker, I mean, you can't ask for more than what he's done, I don't think. It's been great.
Yeah, nice. He's a bargain, isn't he, really? Or seems to be. And who's any player that you think might improve?
I think there's quite a few that are going to improve second half. I mean, Shearer's an obvious one if he hits fire, but I think Dion Dublin's already shown what he can do, and I really think Dion Dublin's going to kick on. The only problem with Dublin is ever whether he will actually start, because usually Angel and Balaban are favoured. But losing the manager and getting a 4-4-2 manager in, and Dublin seems to have secured that position. You see 8 goals in 10 games there. The fixtures aren't the best for Villa. That's my slight concern. But I just feel like if he's on the pitch, no one can handle him in the air. You get 18 for jumping. And he's just got strength, determination, work rate, stamina. He's not going to be coming off in any games either. People think he's 32. You won't lose any condition during the game. I really see him scoring a lot of goals second half of the season.
Nice. Okay. Andy, anyone being pulled out from the chat there?
Yeah, I mean, a few people saying about Owen, like when is he back and is he an option to go with when he's back fit? And he is quite highly priced, but he could show some form when he's back. So,
yeah, a month ago.
Brian Yule having some Marion Bahar's love, saying will retain a special place in my heart for his 20-point week. So that's nice. Kevin Phillips has done well. Adam France is saying Heskey to improve second half of the season. And Heskey's quite a good price, to be honest, as well. So, and also Auto Recluse saying Sahar and I think that's quite a good pick as well because he's got his place hopefully up front. And
Sorry, on that note as well, Scala's just put in the chat. I think York has the best chance to improve. He only needs one return. Yeah, got to agree.
Imagine if York went all season without any attacking returns and played like 30 games.
I could run 10,000 sims and not see that, I think. Yeah, that'd be incredible.
And you haven't mentioned Everson.
Everson, dear me, what price is that? 10 million for a man doesn't play. But he's good when he comes in, isn't he? Everson.
That's all right, yeah, but... Do you think, Luke, with what you're saying about Sheringham and Selakovic maybe going in there, that there's a chance that Everson and Rebrov will play together more?
I think you'll start to see Everson a little bit more because his current ability is rising whilst Teddy's is going down. But Teddy won't disappear. He usually, by come end of season, Teddy would have probably play between 30 and 33 games, so he'll still be there. It's just that Everson will get a little bit more game time, and let's say when he plays, he's good. He's coming towards his peak age. I think forwards is about 28 is their peak. So as that happens, their ability and reputation starts to rise. So I would expect to see him, but it's a bit of a brave call when we've barely seen him, isn't it? So it's just one of those ones. If you start to see him in the lineup, then you'll have to react to it, I guess. He's never going to be totally nailed. That's the bottom line. And when you've got a player at such a high price, it's hard to sort of bring him in. If he was around the 7 or 8 million mark, it might interest people for a punt. But at that price, there's just too many other alternatives, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I think you need something like where Spurs have got, say, Southampton and Bolton home in like 26 and 27. You'd need that Rebrov is out for 3 weeks or something, and then suddenly he would be on the radar and you can take advantage.
That's
otherwise,
exactly it.
Yeah. Jack Brockenshire saying as well that Rebrov has been very good so far as well this season.
He's been great. Any player who hits a hat trick is instantly lovable, aren't they? And I think,
Didn't he give that up?
No, he got the hat trick, didn't he? He stole the penalty from Selakovic.
Ah, that's correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was drunk that day.
Understandable. So I love Rebrov as well. He's been great for me and then great for most people that have had him. He's been a little bit frustrating. Some of the easier home games he's not really returned, but he's one of those guys that can catch fire, and obviously that's why you guys priced him so highly, I assume.
Yeah, I feel like Rebrov's performing at his price point just right, which is good. Everson's a funny one because he's at 7.85 average rating. He's the 6th highest average rated player in the game. If he can nail down the spot, he could be a great pick, but that's a big if. Teddy needs to keep dropping off his fitness for that to happen.
Yeah, what could we mention one more as well for Tomo, FPL Blade, about Jason Yule?
Hey!
He did start off pretty well, didn't he, Jason Yule?
Yeah, he started off great.
He did all right for me at the start. I had him up until sort of game week 4 or 5 or something. He did okay for me.
Yeah,
and also the goal he scored as well. The picking up the ball 70 yards out and then running
after Tomo sold him.
Yeah, classic.
He's actually got great key attributes for a forward as well. He is a really good forward in this game.
Yeah.
Again, he's another one who 10 to 15 goals at the end of the season usually. I think he could still land on that. I think he could still hit that.
Yeah, no, Sean Bartlett's been outperforming him, hasn't he? I've been surprised by Sean Bartlett. He's had a great season. But let's move on because we've got still a lot more to cover. So what we're going to do, we're going to rattle through each club, and I'm going to ask each one person to briefly talk through this club, any players that you particularly like or things you want to know about the season they've had, and I'm going to ask you to give them a grade between A and E for their first half of the season. Now, if any of you other guys disagree with it or you think they've not got it right and they're a little way off, then just jump in and say before we move on to the next one. But should we aim for like 30 seconds per club, so not spending too long on it? And if it's like Derby, make it 10 seconds. So we're going to start with Andy Martin, Arsenal.
Arsenal, I would say perhaps a bit disappointing. I know that the Vieira selling in the summer was not good because Vieira's a great asset in this game. Albertini can't lace Vieira's boots, so he's come in and not done very well. And the whole midfield is just a no-go area because you don't know. I mean, Tikhonov came in, you can't pick him. Perez has been out of form and too expensive. So there's only really the defence, which is Ashley Cole and Seaman, and Henry's the only option. So okay, but not great. I think they can do better. So I'm going to say, as for Arsenal standards, C for a grade.
Great.
You know what that stands for?
Champions.
I think they've blown it this year, mate.
They might make Champions League if they're lucky. Right, Luke, you are getting Aston Villa.
Oh, that's a tricky one. Didn't think of this. I think I'm going to give them a C. I would have given them less, but they've sacked the manager and they're looking like they may turn it into a B yet. But at the start of the season, and this is more just from playing the game, I really liked some of Villa's players like Melberg and Alpai. Thought they were pretty good. I liked Juan Pablo Angel, who's often good, but when it comes to the fantasy or this sim, they've just not been good. Alpai was getting rotated at the beginning of the season. I never really saw that coming. And I know Staunton's been very good to some people. I never had him, so I don't even have that luxury. So yeah, I think they've been pretty bad, to be honest, overall. Not many fantasy picks outside of Staunton for the whole season, and now they've only really got Dublin for me. On the wings, they can actually get Hadji and Ginola on each wing and do really well, but even now they've changed the manager, they're actually picking Stone and Hendry, I think it is, they're going to most of the time. So they've still not picked their best wingers. I think Hadji just got injured, though, to be fair. But so yeah, it's all on Dublin's shoulders now. If he can score a load of goals, he can bring them up for me, but poor.
We'll have Ginola back. We play him at centre half, mate.
Play him in goal, mate.
We need one.
And Schmeichel, actually, I didn't mention him. He's been really good, hasn't he, overall? After his red card to begin with, and I had him for that as well, didn't I?
If I could add one thing on that, it's worth saying as well as Luke will obviously testify, Schmeichel and Kylie are the home and away rotation, right? So a lot for the new guys and that. If you want 4.5 rotations, there's not a lot better than that, really.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I didn't know that. Good tip. Right, Jamie, Blackburn Rovers. Less exciting team for you, I'm afraid. Sorry.
I'll give them a B. Well, I think for the era they're doing pretty poor, but they're mid-table. Nobody owns any of their players anymore, though. Grabby has been mentioned. He was out the blocks. He's unhappy. I think he was unhappy earlier as well, but he's out the blocks. He was scoring, I think, first 5 games, smashing it, and everybody trying to squeeze him in. But I think he's still owned by a few, but I'm not sure he's got much potential going forward. Just a peek at the ownership. Duff and Dunn. Still a few on Duff and Dunn. Maybe got a bit of potential. Two guys been pretty good, actually. He's been popping up with assists. Multiple assists in some games. 7 assists, there you go. So there's a few players that have been noteworthy. It's not like some of the teams where I couldn't even name you a player.
Yeah, that's fair. Two guys.
Go on.
I was going to say, I just got one quick name I wanted to add on that. It would be my number one, if you want a 1 week punt, Matt Jansen this week. Would be a great punt for this game week, honestly.
Nice, yeah.
Luke will tell me otherwise. He'll tell me the matchup.
No.
I'm going, yeah, Matt Jansen.
Yeah. I think that's part of the thing with Blackburn is I always love it at pre-season when and I saw so many teams with Duff, Dunn and Gillespie, and I was just sitting there thinking, do they know these guys play 4-5-1 away from home and are absolutely shocking?
No, we didn't, mate. You should have told us.
Yeah, well, obviously not. I'm trying to win this thing, right? No, I didn't look into it in too much detail until after, unfortunately, that had started. Because obviously you don't look at stuff like formations away from home when you play in the game. You don't really pay attention to it. So it opened up a new level for me. But when I saw what Sonus was up to, my God. And that's been their problem, really. They just change the formation too often, and it means a lot of the players who could be very good just they haven't been. And again, Jansen, a great 1 week punt for this week, but next week, do you know he's the one up front in the 4-5-1 or whatever?
No.
If they play, you don't. So it's just
that's the problem. I'd love to, as James said, that 2 guy, but it's too much on someone that you never really want to play away from home, unless they've got like Southampton or something. So it's too much. But yeah, I think what I'm saying is for the new guys who perhaps obviously starting this week and thinking, I don't want to take the chance on Viduka this week, leave the 3 million in the bank to go and get him back next week, for example. Jansen with Spurs are all over the shop at the moment with no goalkeeper, no Dean Richards, etc. I think the Blackburn forward guys are great 1 week punts.
Yeah.
8 people.
Say that again, Jamie?
Only 8 people got them just now.
There you go. Uber differential. I think
Be 9 next week.
I think 2 guys are a nice pick because he just is a set and forget almost. Like 7.5 million, you don't need to sub him. You just stick with him. He'll tick the points over slowly. boring but solid sort of. That's just my take on it. But we spent about 5 minutes talking about Blackburn, who are almost an irrelevant team, so well done us. We'll move on though. Let's go to Bolton. Sorry, another boring one for you, James. But James,
That's all right. Nice and quick. Can we have a quick look at Colin Cooper?
Yeah.
Just because obviously, just looking through the numbers, I mean, Pedersen's obviously the go-to there, obviously. But in terms of actual FPL points, obviously matching Colin Hendry now, and obviously joined later, so I'd missed the first few games of the season. So I don't know if I assume points per game, Cooper's now outdoing Colin Hendry, I would have thought. Otherwise, wouldn't look like if you want to go really budget-wise in midfield, you can look at Kevin Nolan, 4.5. But no, it's Pedersen or Cooper would be the only ones to look at. Yeah, it's Shane Jääskeläinen's 5 rather than 4.5. You can't justify that when it's the same value as, say, Seaman and stuff.
Rob Lee, 5 million, not bad. No.
Nah.
McPhail.
Yeah, fair. And what's your great...
Also Gardner as well. Gardner's come back as well.
Yes, of course. I've forgotten about him, Andy. I ain't seen him all season.
Yeah, you wait. He'll turn up.
I look forward to it, mate. Is he in your draft?
He's not. No, I didn't know how long he was out for. I was thinking maybe still a month out, but I think it's only a couple of weeks now. So
I get the feeling he'll play any week, won't he?
Yeah, it's 2 weeks. So.
Next home game's Blackburn as well. Locked in, clean sheet, attack and return.
He's the man to watch.
He was definitely on my shortlist. And what's your grade for Bolton for their half season?
You have to give him at least a B, wouldn't you, as a promoted side? Done well.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Right, Andy, Charlton, who you were raving about earlier.
Yeah, I mean, Charlton have had a great season. Signings have been good. They've been gelling together nicely. Clean sheets are ticking along. I think perhaps in some games they've been lucky to get the win, but that's because Kylie's keeping them out. I really like Rufus. I think for anyone who's new, Rufus is the perfect 12th man. He can pop up with bonus. He's going to play every game. 4.5 million. Stick him as first on your bench. You can't go wrong with it. If you need someone to come in, Rufus is the man to come in. I really like him. Jason Newell is a good third striker option as well. And even Bartlett, yeah. Why not? If you're looking for a cheap third striker. And also like bench fodder like Klaus Jensen, Gary McAllister. So there's some options there. Wilcox as well.
Yeah.
So
Jensen's the best 4.5 mid in my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think you can fill your bench with Charlton. Why not?
What's your grade for them, Andy?
A B plus. Very good. Oh, put A minus. A minus.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. I think they deserve an A. So yeah, Charlton doing well. Lots of options there. Steam on to Chelsea. Luke, your job is Chelsea.
Oh God, how long have you got?
30 seconds.
E. Absolutely woeful. There's so much rotation that it was always going to be the case. The players rotate pretty much all season. I mean, I think a lot of people had Zola in their team to start and said he was potentially going to be the best value pick in the game, which obviously hasn't worked out. I think he got maybe 2 goals in one game and he's not scored in any other. I think that might be right. I'm fairly sure I remember him getting a brace or at least a goal and an assist in one game.
Southampton, which figures in hindsight now, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. The matchup against the worst defence in the league. What a surprise. He's been... Well, everyone's been dreadful. Desai is a really good pick. He's unlucky he's got injured now. They've changed their manager. They can turn it around. I don't see them staying where they are. Moving forward, I think Babayaro, Terry, Desai are all reasonable picks. And Zenden's perhaps a punt on the left wing, but he's a little bit too expensive for me and still doesn't do that well. So just those 3 in defence, really. I'm not even going to try and recommend anyone else. Gronkal's done really well, actually, considering how bad they've been, and he's barely played. He's just been coming in and out. But when he has played, I think he's one of the highest rated midfielders. But I don't see him starting, unfortunately. So
James Street is saying thoughts on Stanic, Luke?
I just don't think he'll play.
Fair enough.
He's another one at the beginning of the season I really bigged up as he can. I mean, usually come Christmas, he's like in the top 5 for average rating, and it didn't work for him. He missed all the games he should have played, and vice versa, and it didn't work out for him. Quite often he gets sold actually to Celtic, and that hasn't happened. So he's usually only got the first half to be a great pick, and it's just not worked out. I wouldn't go anywhere near him. I think Carboni will play right wing most of the time.
And I'm assuming you're going to give them an E.
I said right at the start. E, no question for me. I mean, where are they in the league? Yeah, 16th. Come on.
Yeah, bad. So just to say, do give your grades in the chat as well, and you guys can just shout them out because I can't see them. But I'm assuming everyone's saying E or F for Chelsea. James, sorry, you got you got Blackburn before, and now you've got Derby. Jamie.
Oh, don't know how to fill 30 seconds on Derby. Matt Poom was the best scoring player for the first few. I think a penalty save or something. Not worth picking now though. Craig Burley's been doing pretty well. He was doing pretty well for my team, and another Scottish guy did amazing pre-season. I think he scored more pre-season than he scored in the season though.
Yeah, not much to report with Derby, right?
Nah. The D.
D for Derby.
I disagree.
Oh.
I think they're a team really to keep an eye on in the next few weeks. Obviously, Luke's already said about Lescott. It's another player I'd like to quickly ask Luke about. But obviously, they've got Bolton at home this week. Yes, then they've got Man United away. But they're very likely to have the double game week in 23. And actually, fixtures afterwards, Ipswich, Villa, Everton, then Newcastle at home aren't too bad either. So if you're looking at the value cheap players like Lescott, for example, I think actually they're all right for the new starters. The one I went to ask Luke about is Daryl Powell, who's obviously he's 0.5 cheaper than Valakri and Burley and the like. But actually, he's not too far off in terms of the FPL points against them. He's quite close. And obviously, with Oranio injured, he's been playing left wing back lately. Do you think there's anything there that we can have a look at?
I think he could do okay. I personally still wouldn't go there. I haven't really looked at him that much. I think.
Yes, I got him.
Have you got him? Oh, right.
No, I got you.
Oh, right. I think that's a little bit harsh. I don't really like him as a pick potentially, but the fixtures are there, you're right, and no one else in midfield's been doing that well, so why not? That's where you want to take your punts, so I can't argue with it. For me, I think Christie's done really well. Doesn't start the season, usually, and he's done really well, I think. It's good value. And I'm not sure Lescott's totally nailed, because it's very hard to judge when a player's brought in naturally in this game, as we've seen already. Like, if you put them in the sim at the beginning in the team, their ability and reputation is slightly different, so it's hard to know how the manager will use him. So when they're signed naturally, you probably have high hopes that he'll play every game. I think he's played 2 from 2 so far, is that right?
Yeah.
Pretty sure he has.
Yeah.
So that's looking good, but I just want to, he might not be nailed. But yeah, Valkyrie's been excellent, Lescott's been excellent, Christie's been good. The rest of them, not so much really, have they? That's the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, we got robbed of Seth Johnson quite a bit as well. He can do well, but he's been injured quite a lot of the season, I think, or at least large parts of it.
Yeah.
Can I just mention Derby quickly as well, that they have got 11 home games left. So
Nice.
out of 19 games left, 11 at home. So
Yeah,
I think they're one of the better ones to look at in terms of the budget players.
And Mokoku's a cheap player if he ever starts playing.
I can't believe we talked about Derby for so long either, but this guy, Adam Murray, is also a 4.5 player. He's been getting some game time. He's just another 4.5 option if you want one. I saw Jamie was shaking his head as people were complimenting Derby.
None of us are picking Derby players.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Not that they're 11 home fixtures.
No, they're better than you guys think. I'm with James.
I
on this
agree.
one. Yeah, they've got some options.
nice.
So we're about to talk to a team that ain't got many at all.
Yeah, right. And luckily, Google has decided to automatically select who's talking now, so that's good news for me. Right, we are going to move. We're going to have to move a bit quicker because otherwise we're going to be here till literally midnight. So, James, Everton.
We're or Stubbs, decent 4.5, so sit on your bench. Just a quick note on Everton that they're one of only 3 sides, and it's a shout out for James's spreadsheets. They're only one of only 3 sides who've got a run of 4 fixtures or more left at one stage or another that are green in a row. And that's between game weeks 24 and 27, I believe. Sorry, 23 and 26. Charlton away, Leicester at home, West Ham away, Derby at home. So again, for the new starters, Weir or Stubbs is okay. Don't look at anything else.
Nice. First half season grade?
C. Bang average, mate.
Yeah, with you. Right, Andy Martin, Fulham.
look at those injuries, man. Their defence is going to be leaking some goals if it wasn't already. Because Fulham like to attack. They're a good attacking team, but they're letting goals as well. So looking at that, injuries, Harley, Goma suspended. Yeah, crazy, horrible. There's some good options. I mean, Lewis Benmorte's done well in midfield. He's good out of ROP, so he can play up top, but I think he might get back into midfield now. Sahara and Male are quite decent price. They're good options there. And Goma ticks along nicely. Yeah, I mean, the midfielders, they're all quite relatively good prices. So Stolzers and Collins have been chipping in with assists and goals. So I can definitely think you can get one fully midfielder.
Stolzers and Collins heavily underpriced.
Thanks, Luke.
Just facts, mate. When you got Murray from Southampton at 6 mil or at 6.5 or whatever it is.
Murray's a bargain. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Stolzers was one. I think I remember us having a conversation where basically like I think we originally had a bit more, but it's like, who is this guy? He can't be that much. We have to move him down a little bit. That was a mistake. Anyway.
Yeah, he can also get pens as well, so you got lucky there. He could have been absolute gold.
Yeah. I'll take that. Andy, first half season grade for Fulham?
C.
Lots of C's going around. Love that. That's fine. I think this is good rating. We'll move on to Ipswich with Luke. Luke, you're getting the good ones.
Oh, I don't know about that. Villa was not that good.
That's true. Yeah.
What can you say about Ipswich? I don't want to spend too much time. Everyone knows that the defenders are absolutely brilliant. No, you can't touch anyone else in their team for me. And Hardison's pretty much essential. I mean, even though their good games are now gone, I still can't see it. I mean, it'll slow down, but I don't think it'll slow down that much. And for their season so far, you got to give it probably an A.
Okay, nice. Everyone, yeah, he's pretty strong, but you've given it, they've got it. Who is Are you guys all in agreement that Ipswich defenders are still good picks? Anyone disagree with that?
I agree. I just want to say that they've got the same amount of goals conceded as Everton, so maybe the Everton picks are not that bad.
Yeah, but it's not about clean sheets for defenders. It's all about bonus, and they're the men.
Everton getting bonuses as well a little bit, but I agree. Everton's a poor man, Ipswich certainly. But
okay, nice, good. I think it's a good point. Yeah, nice. And Jamie, you are getting a proper team this time, Leeds.
Title challengers, surely 3 games in hand. What are they off? 13 points off, 3 games in hand. Certainly have a chance. Options all over the pitch. The 3 extra fixtures. I think they're the only team with the 3 extra fixtures. Options all over the pitch. I'm not. I think Keel's a bit expensive personally. He hasn't done much first half, and I've not got the experience of the game to know he can do more. But certainly Viduka's probably about the best striker you could get for the money. Hart should do better, and does well anyway. McPhail, at least until Boyer's back, which is quite a long way, I think. Lots of good options. They're not quite an A though, maybe a B plus.
Okay, nice. I'm just going to chuck the name Alan Mabry out there as well. I think Alan Mabry could be a good pick over this little run where they've got some good games. I like Alan Mabry. Thank you, Jamie. James, you get Leicester City.
Nice. Obviously, Sturridge has done well up front this season, and obviously Scowcroft had that little bit of purple patch when they had the good fixtures for those who held on for the away games. I still think Elliott is probably the best pick defensively, although he's more expensive at 5.0. Therefore, I'd prefer to go actually with, say, the Everton guys, say Stubbs or Weir. Goalkeeper is an absolute nightmare position. Dennis Wise has obviously done very well, 6.5 million. But is he injured again, Dennis Wise?
Yeah, he's coming back.
I think. Is it has been a massive. He's really underwhelmed this season. So they're one to avoid at the moment. Just on them, they do have a good run. It's not for a while, but they have Charlton at home, Southampton at home, Blackburn at home between game weeks 30 and 32. Otherwise, I don't see looking back at them until then.
Okay, yeah, nice. What grade are you going to give them? Difficult one to grade, I think, Leicester.
Done okay. They're in the C area as well.
Cool. Yeah, nice. Right, we'll move on to Liverpool. Andy.
Liverpool, yeah, what a horrible season, really. I think let everyone down with double game week that they had. And while there's some good options, I think Biscan's nice at 5 million. He can play in midfield. He's been playing centre back recently, but Biscan's a good pick if you want to get a £5 million fifth midfielder in. Their strikers are underwhelming, but there's without Owen. I don't really like their midfield. Really, I mean, Gerrard's okay, but he's not great. There's certainly better options at his price. Probably the centre backs and Biscan. I think Onshow and Hippier have still got decent performances in them if they can avoid the red cards that they keep getting.
What are you going to give him for a grade?
I'd say D, to be honest. I don't think they'd be that great.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay, thanks, Andy. We'll move on. Luke, Man United.
Yeah, I'm going to be harsh here. I'm going to give them a C. I mean, they're second in the Premier League and they win like 17 out of 20 sims. It's not good enough. I think also, especially at the beginning of the season, you basically had points where all came for Van Nistelrooy and Beckham, and nearly every single other asset was just nothing, like Veron included in that. So yeah, those guys hogged all the points, and maybe Silvestri, you could say, has done all right. But they also have conceded more goals, I think, than if you go to the table. I'm not sure, but I think they've conceded more goals than Arsenal and maybe one other team as well, which you wouldn't expect. Yeah, so the Arsenal. Have I got that wrong? It's close, isn't it? Yeah, it's close. Yeah, so Arsenal and Middlesbrough are both close and obviously a lot cheaper in their defence for clean sheets. So you can't even say the defence has been that good. So yeah, obviously going to improve. I still think they'll win the league, but so far, apart from Van Nistelrooy, it's been fairly underwhelming, and Beckham has been fairly underwhelming.
Nice. So Man United are in a void. Everyone.
No, they've been in the void. They're definitely a get now. They're definitely a get for the second half.
Yeah, cool. Okay, nice. That is a harsh C, but that's what we're here for. Middlesbrough, Jamie.
A++++. Top of the league. Nobody's calling that. I've not run a single sim, but I'm guessing millions of sims have been run and not many with Middlesbrough top of the league at this stage or title contenders. I dare say they're usually probably near the bottom. But some good options if they continue to do well. Dean Gordon's a fun option. Festa with the penalties. I think Festa's now highly owned as well. Alan Johnson, bubbles burst now that looks to me he's going to get shifted and do poorly, but he's been doing well so far. Boksic been injured most of the time, but I think he's a popular choice. 7 million, quite cheap forward as well. Rickard, another good striker. He's had some returns more recently. So some options if they can keep it going, but A+ for what they've done so far.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, incredible.
Right, 5 to go. James, Newcastle.
They've had a shocker through injuries, really. Obviously, Dyer's been out. Solana and Ribeiro out long term. Shearer, they like to play at like 70% fitness and try and kill the poor guy. Bad, really bad. I'd scored him about an F, but I do think particularly for the new guys, you should really be looking at them. Southampton at home, Chelsea at home, then they play in the blank away to Fulham, then a potential double game week in 23, then West Ham at home 24. And actually, if you look at Newcastle's home games for the rest of the season, bar Middlesbrough on the final game, the easiest on paper appears to be Liverpool. Most difficult on paper appears to be Liverpool. So I think the cheapies for rotation, and actually if they can get Shearer fit and some of these other big hitters, actually we'll come back and look at them again. They've got to improve.
Yeah, agree with that. I actually strongly looked at, this is a bit controversial, but Besaidis at 9.5 is a bit too expensive, but he's played all the minutes and he's doing well, so he could be one to look at some point maybe.
Yeah, I think that the problem for the new guys is fixture-wise, you would say they're definitely a team actually right time, go and attack. The problem is where. I still think that the best one defensively is Dabizas, because he does seem to play every week. He's cheap as. You can leave him out when the fixture's not right. Besaidis just feels too much, mate, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree.
But a decent punt in terms of the fixtures, if you can afford to do it at the moment, now's not a bad time to take the chance. How long's Dyer out for? He's not out for long, is he?
Dyer's coming back. He's at 90%, so he played in the last game. But Solano has got a month to go. Lauren Ribeiro has got a month to go, so they are short still.
If Shearer had been fit, I would have steamed into him last week. and definitely captained him this week.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? The fixture's definitely turning. Yeah, okay. Newcastle and F. Right, 4 clubs to go. Andy Martin, we have a team we don't need to talk much about. In brief, Southampton.
I mean, Saints are rubbish. I mean, to be honest, though, they have got a few goals. I mean, compared to the other teams around them, how many goals have they got? Because they have scored quite a few. Yeah, 32. So I think you can, if you want to punt, go for Pahars or BT or Davis, but you just don't know that BT and Davis who's going to play. Spencer's been a letdown. He had some hype around him early in the season. I never thought it was any good. But yeah, avoid Southampton unless you're punting that they're going to do well with some good fixtures. But I really like Jay Lucas, but that's for 3 seasons' time.
So you don't buy Jay Lucas. Nice. All right. Luke, we move on to Sunderland.
I think I have to give them a B. They're doing pretty well. They can be a real up and down team in this game. Sorry, and the fact they've got rid of their manager and got Shreves in, who's attacking, I think is good for them. So I can see them pushing on a little bit. And obviously Arca they had out most of the season, or a lot parts of it, and they've done really well without him. So I said already, I like Tome, I like Arca, I still really like Phillips. Any striker who's got penalties can just go wild in any game week. It can happen. And at 9.5 million, it's sort of him and Shearer that we've kind of been robbed of a little bit, I think, who could have been really good. And Phillips has been good. But come end of season, I expect Phillips to have 15, 16 goals, maybe even higher still. I don't really see many other people in the team scoring for them. So, yeah, you can just rely on those 3 guys. They've been good.
Yeah, nice. I'm going to do a sneaky switch around here because James, I'm going to come to you for Tottenham. So Jamie, I'm going to ask you
I really wanted to talk about West Ham, to be honest.
Okay, in that case.
Yeah, I want to talk about West Ham, yeah.
Okay, Jamie, you can talk about Tottenham.
I was going to offer him Tottenham. I thought he might want West Ham though.
Yeah, I do, yeah. It's far more entertaining.
You're ready to rip it, no?
Tottenham are rubbish, done nothing. Tottenham obviously pretty solid. Giving us some of our best moment. From a player pick perspective, there's some good choices. Solakovic, Rebrov. These are good. These are grade A choices. I like the Ledley King seems to be playing a lot. He's 4 million. He seems to be in a run of getting games. I don't know if it's an injury for someone else. I was trying to work that out earlier, but 4 million is always good to have a playing 4 million. Ledley King, probably a young Ledley King. Poirier, one of the best mids options at the price so far, but maybe getting on a bit.
Injured.
Yeah, we should have mentioned him earlier when we were talking about mids. He's been great. He never usually does this well for me, but yeah, he's done really well.
Gus Bus has been in full flow.
Yeah.
Sheringham's been good again, a bit old now, so maybe his time's passed in the season. But yeah, they've got loads of good options, and I don't even know where they are on the table, but I'll give them a B.
A B for Spurs, nice. We'll move on. Last club. Here we go. James, West Ham.
We were doing well until the last 3 Spurs, and then it all went apart because we can't defend defensively. Can I just ask Luke quickly on Spurs? Do you think Spurs will buy it defensively with that Richards injury?
Probably not.
Interesting.
The first season, not many teams signed anyone of any note.
I still can't recommend people to go for Ledley King, even though he's going to play nearly every week at 4.0.
Well, if you're going to sit him on your bench every week, I suppose you can, but Taggart's better option at 4 than he is, I think. So
probably.
Yeah, I wouldn't go for anything.
Spurs defensively is awful.
It's
no goalkeeper this week, basically. West Ham, what a team they are. Repka likes to tackle, gets the odd bonus point. Joe Cole could be a good player if the manager decides to pick him in important games, but tends not to. Canute's done all right this season, I guess. But yeah, even if you look at them, like coming up, it's Ipswich at home, which is okay. And then it's Middlesbrough away, Leeds away, Chelsea at home, Newcastle away. You're not, then even though they're playing in the blank, for me, you just don't go near them. I'd give them an A for the season. for being absent and awful.
You know what?
Probably for Luke. Is a West Ham and the likes going to kick on because they're in a relegation fight? Are they going to?
No. they're going to come rock bottom and be relegated. The team's dreadful. They haven't got any money to buy anyone. Yeah, I'll be surprised if it's any different than that.
Are they not? Is it 11 points adrift? I think already.
Yeah,
17th.
Something like that.
Yeah.
11 points.
Yeah, I think West Ham and probably Southampton are done. Is the third one we're not sure about. In fact, if you go to West Ham and sort by average rating, if you want to laugh, for their whole team, if I remember rightly, they're the worst by a long way. Their best player is like 7.3. Yeah, 7.13 is it? Canute 7.11. That's the best player, just over a 7 for the whole season. Get out.
Yeah.
Ends.
I'm going to stick my neck on the line and say I think they might get relegated.
Brave call, Dave. Brave call.
I wouldn't be able to. As people can't see me, I really could pluck up the courage there. Right, we've been going for a long time. We will just touch on a few bits of the second half of the season. We've got to talk about fixtures first, and then we'll have a quick chat about chip strategies, and then I'm going to just ask each of you guys looking forward about how you see the second half of the season unfolding for you and your team. Does that sound about right?
Cool. So,
James has been doing some work on fixtures. So, James, I'm going to let you talk about it. If you want to bring other people in, you ask, but this is your moment.
No, I mean, I could go into real detail and we'd be here till beyond midnight, but I think it's probably just make people aware, and again, particularly for new players, in terms of the randomness of this game and how blanks can still occur. So we know we've got a blank game week coming up, game week 22, which I think Dave will show you now, where there's only 8 teams playing. And in game week 23, the following game week, we're currently scheduled to have 6 teams who will double. Those are the 6 you'll see on screen now. And those teams will only double in that game week if neither of the 2 teams involved in the given fixture have an FA Cup third round replay. If they have an FA Cup third round replay, these fixtures are highly likely to be moved. I believe that they could even be moved as closely as game week 24, but there's a few scenarios where they can't. So, for example, Leeds already have a double in game week 24. There is a fractional, extremely small chance that could end up in a treble game week for Leeds, I've noted, which would essentially probably need both of Leeds and Derby to lose in the FA Cup third round, and one of them to lose in a replay. There is then a small possibility that could be a treble. We're talking a 1% chance here, because there's actually the following game week is free, because I think it's League Cup semi-finals, I think. So there's a small possibility, but it's more make you aware in terms of blank problems and what can still cause blanks. So one of the things we had earlier in the season is the television companies doing a really silly thing and putting Manchester United on a Monday night before a Champions League game. Obviously, United then got drawn to play in the Champions League on the Tuesday, so that game, rather than getting put back to the Saturday, actually just got postponed. Now, there isn't a circumstance where this is likely to happen again until game week 31 at the earliest, as far as I can tell, because Manchester United's fixtures in Europe are pretty much booked up until then. There are other things that can still cause blanks. So game week 26, you need to be aware of, where every team is scheduled to play at the moment. Is that the right set of fixtures, is it, Dave?
I think so.
I think it probably is.
There we go. That's 24.
It's a midweek set.
This is 26.
That's it. Yeah, this is game week 26 on the screen now. Now, that game week as well, if there's any FA Cup fourth round replays, they go on that night. So it could cause a problem as well. So again, you're going to get short notice on it. Any team that has an FA Cup fourth round replay, as far as I can tell, is unlikely to play that game week. Game week 29 could be a problem for Manchester United only. They're due to play Villa at home. That's if they have an FA Cup fifth round replay. And game week 31, which is when Manchester United play Bolton, is also the League Cup final. United have got Preston. So Andy offered me, what odds did you give me earlier, Andy?
I said 1,000 to 1.
Yeah, well, I said I'd have a fiver on that, on Preston beating Man United, and then you bottled it. But Man United and Bolton in game week 31 is highly likely to be off, and one of Leeds and Newcastle, Liverpool, Everton would also be off in that game week. Game week 32, the following game week, is also the FA Cup semi-finals. but the midweek is completely free afterwards. So, for example, if Manchester United were not to have an FA Cup semi-final, it's highly likely, I think, that the Bolton fixture would go into that game week 32. So they'd be looking at a double there of Ipswich away, Bolton away. Game week 34 is also penciled in as the same for the Champions League quarter-finals, and Manchester United are obviously highly likely to make those. And this is where I think Andy's partially touched on it, the idea of the possibility of a treble game week for Manchester United in game week 37. And one of the reasons that becomes a strong possibility is because there's actually a 2-week gap between game week 37 and game week 38. The midweek afterwards is the Champions League semi-final second legs. And then the following weekend's the FA Cup final. And then the following midweek is completely free. Now, for example, should Manchester United make an FA Cup semi-final and lose, and obviously continue to progress in Europe, it would actually be very straightforward to organise all of Manchester United's rearranged games in that game week 37. So there is a possibility. I wouldn't put it at more than about 20%, Andy, personally. But there is a possibility that United could have a treble in game week 37. But the immediate one to be aware of is that the game week 23 doubles are obviously not locked. If any of those 6 sides have an FA Cup third round replay, it will move. Could move into game week 24. And obviously game week 26 could be a riot. Any team that has an FA Cup replay is highly unlikely to play. There are loads of permutations in terms of when games can be rescheduled. It's actually become a lot more straightforward than it might have, because the 4 sides that were in the UEFA Cup have all gone out. So other than Manchester United and Arsenal, it's become very straightforward that those games could almost go anywhere as long as it doesn't clash with the FA Cup, basically. Arsenal look like they're going to go out of Europe as well. They've lost their first 2 in the second group stage. And therefore, other than Manchester United's games, a lot of these rearranged games, say those doubles in 23 don't happen, they could land in a lot of places. United's are restricted to only a couple of areas, though.
Nice. That's a great summary. Thanks, James. That was...
Nobody understood a word I just said, Dave. So
no,
cheers.
I got it. If I can follow it, then you're on to the winner.
Get your pen and paper out. The next immediate problem is 23. Be aware that the doubles might not happen, and game week 26 could be short-term carnage.
The thing I would say as well, just be aware that United are going for the quadruple. Like, the longer that goes on, the more likely the treble game week 37 happens. So, just personally, I would keep a triple captain or a bench boost in hand if you had it, just for that treble game week if it does happen.
There's certain weeks I noted though. So say if Manchester United go out the FA Cup early, Andy, for example, which they're not likely to, let's be honest. But we saw from the League Cup they could throw out a couple of strange teams, right? If they go out early, game week 27 is available for them, for example, where a rearranged fixture could go in there. And there's others as well. Game week 30, game week 31. Should they not make the Champions League quarterfinals? It's really dependent on what United do, but you are right. If United go very far in competitions, then game week 37 really would open up.
Yeah, but also as well with game week 37, if the title's sewn up already, they tend to rest in the league. I've noticed as well. So there's
no point in it anyway.
Well, if the title's still on, because it'd be Leeds and United going into the final game week for the title, right?
So,
do you think, mate?
What you're saying is Dwight York triple captain?
That's when he's going to score his first.
Yeah, they'll wheel him out for those 3 games.
He'll get his first return for that one. Okay, nice. So we touched upon chips briefly. We won't spend too long chatting about it. Obviously, Andy and Jamie have both got zombies, but Andy and Jamie, is there anything that you guys want to say on chip strategy at all that springs to mind?
I think Viduka, treble captain, coming up is a decent shout. And like FPL, I tend to use a bench boost when I've got 2 keepers playing 4 fixtures, and that's just a habit I've got into, which I like doing. So, yeah, I'll do the same for this game.
Nice. Jamie, how about you? Is there anything you want to say about like free hits or bench boost, triple captains, anything?
Not a strategy, but just decide where you're going to put your effort, because if you've got second half league, new players will be in second half league with other chips. Players that are just joining, players who have brought their team across from the sheets will only have the chips left that they had. Everyone's got a new wild card. So I I wouldn't go hell for leather in the second half if you've not got many chips left, or at least be aware that others might have chips.
Okay, nice. And Luke, have you got how many chips have you got left, and where do you see them going?
Well, obviously I've got the new wild card. I've got the bench boost. I used my free hit already in the Elliott double game week, so that's out. For me, again, it depends where your allegiances lie and stuff and what you're looking at. But for me, bench boost is quite throwaway, I think. First of all, to get 15 people starting your team is an ask. I don't think you're going to get that very often. And I just think you need to throw it in when your bench players have got a good set of fixtures. If it suddenly jumps out on you, you're just going to have to go for it, because James has already just been through there. Sometimes these game weeks won't change until you're a week or two away from. You just can't prepare for them a lot of the time. And with the rate of red cards and injuries, if you're trying to prepare a team for a bench boost, you're likely to come unstuck just because of the rate of injuries and red cards that you get. So if it drops in your lap, do it. That would be my advice. Obviously, if you can do it in a double game week like 23, if you like, that could be useful. The one coming up, but it's a lot of the people's teams, or mine certainly, that have got on their bench is the likes of Charlton and sort of Fulham maybe, and people like that. So Leicester even. So you just want to look for a game week maybe up that's coming up where those teams have got some good. I think I noticed one around 33 or something. I noticed. Can't remember where it was now. Somewhere around there where some of these teams had a pretty good week, so that could be a good one. But apart from that, I've got no real plans for it. I may wildcard 23. I think a lot of people are looking at that because it comes out of the blank. I assume with James is going with Henry and Van Nistelrooy. Maybe he's looking for a wildcard 23, or maybe he's just prepared himself for it. So he might be a good man to ask.
It very much depends for me in terms of which of those 23 doubles go ahead. If they all go ahead, I'll probably land in a very good position where I'm going to have about 11 or 12 will have doubles. And for me, then it's pull the bench boost. If not, I think there's two great triple captaincy opportunities in that game week. Obviously, a couple you could include Hart. I know there's an undercurrent of that, but I think Viduka now following the exploits against Southampton. Villa at home, Derby away looks great. And I also like the look of Henry's fixtures that week as well. Southampton at home, Newcastle away if it happens. So I think 23 is prime to use a triple captain or a bench boost. And obviously the new guys can set up quite well for this now if they're clever. The curveball is the 22 beforehand with the blank game week. What I'd say about that is I think it would be a waste to use a free hit to cover that game week personally, because a lot of those guys that do play in 22 then walk into the doubles in 23. So, and the difficult fixtures anyway, like with Liverpool playing Arsenal and that, you can still target. Leeds have got West Ham at home. United have a good fixture at home to Ipswich that week. So I don't think free hit would cover you off and then still allow you to be in a great position of 23. We learnt from 15, as well as I'm saying, I'll probably go bench boost. I'm well aware it could go awry. I think the one thing I learnt from using my free hit in 15, and that was just choosing 11 players straight, was the nightmare on rotation. And I'm sure it will be the case there as well. It's unavoidable. And so Luke's right in terms of, in FPL, I'd be very much, use a bench boost in a double game week. But in this game, it's when your bench looks the very best. It will be the right time for you when to play it. And if that's the next game week, or even for the new guys, it might even be the first week, to pick the... I wouldn't do it now because of the short distance between the games is so difficult with the rotation. But when your bench looks great, just pull it. I would say. I think in this game, you probably get more out of the treble captain than the bench boost.
Yeah, nice. I like that. That was a good summary. Have you guys got anything else to add on ship strategy? That all sounded sensible to me.
I would just say when it comes to the triple captains, and I know we all want to use them on the best players in the best fixtures, but sometimes, as we know, the reputation of some of these lower teams causes the other teams to sort of rotate, like we've seen with Man United. So you just have to bear that in mind sometimes, that it may look a great 2 games on paper, but if they're within 2 or 3 days, first of all, you've got the condition chance that someone might miss out because they're just a little bit low on condition, but you've also got the chance that they feel like they can be beaten with their B team. So you have to be very, very select as who you're going to put that chip on, I think. And for me, it's more than possible that a single game week captain, triple captain, could do really well. We all know these home games against weak sides are very dependable for the big hitters, and it's not really like FPL for me in that most of the time mine fail when we do that, but in this game they seem to do really well. I don't rule out a single for me.
Except for Viduka with 2 away hat-tricks.
Yeah.
No.
But that was Fulham.
I think if you're unsure on 23, don't use anything. A good case is I'm saying Henry is great, right? He's about to come off when he plays Southampton. It's 3 days, I believe, after they play Liverpool away on the 9th. And then Southampton at home is almost right for the rotation, isn't it? But if he plays, then it's a great double. Southampton at home and Newcastle away. But United are almost at 99%. They're going to have at least one more double somewhere and possibly more. So if you're unsure, Van Nistelrooy will come back about. And as we know, if he's fit, he will generally play. Unless it's right at the end, as Andy said, if the title's in the bag, then they might decide to change. But if United had 3 games, I'd be happy with 2 of Van Nistelrooy, personally.
If you're not well set up for it, I think 23 could be nice for a free hit as well. If you wanted to just be a bit different almost, get rid of your Man United players for 1 week and go down that route, you'll have them for 22. But if you want to be a bit different, you could free hit 23, lose your United players and attack that double game week. But yeah, it's interesting stuff. Lots to think about. We've been going now for coming up to an hour and 3/4, so I think we should start to come into a close.
This is early for me, Dave. Come on, man.
You just want to keep going all night. I can't keep up, mate. I'm not a young man anymore.
Oh, and I am.
Yeah.
I'm not staying up till 6 a.m.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is easy,
Noted.
mate, isn't it? So we got a lot of excellent questions. We tried to incorporate some of the themes that were in the questions into the sort of the content of what we've talked about tonight. There's some questions I think basically we'll come to next week about in particular things that are a bit more niche. I just want to take a minute now. I know you can't see me, so it's a bit weird. I'm just going to put the picture on Andy because he looks a little bit like me. If you just move your mouth, Andy, and just make it look like you're talking.
Okay, fine. I try and mime you. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to say, some people have asked about like what's the future of the game and how's the website going to work going forward. All that. I think basically the message from all of us is a massive thank you to everyone that's participated so far, and we really want to focus in on the rest of this season and doing the best we can this season and see what the future holds beyond that. I think with the move to the website, we'll see if we can get the word out to people who want to join, and then they can do that, and just making sure that existing players get across is a big thing. But in terms of the questions that have come through, I think basically we'll probably try and tackle some of the more niche questions next week, because just simply on a time factor, it's going to make sense to do that. So if you've asked a question, thank you for it. We've tried to incorporate most of them into the content of what we talked about around stuff like team of the season and players you like, players you don't like, all that sort of stuff. But more stuff about the game and more particular things we'll talk about next week. I just wanted to flag very quickly, one thing is Stephen White from Beer Nuts has very kindly donated a beer care package. So if you have donated to the Trussell Trust page that we have going, then you'll be eligible to join our Donors League. If you haven't donated, we understand not everyone can donate, that's totally understandable, but if you would like to donate, then you can do that, and you can join the Donors League, and there's a beer care package, and there'll also be a non-alcoholic prize if you prefer a non-alcoholic prize too. But a massive thank you to everyone that's donated. Do think about that. We've now raised, I think, over £2,000 before gift aid. So with gift aid, that's like nearly $2,500. So a massive thank you to everyone that's done that. That's seriously amazing. And big thanks to all of you. Right, so that was just a little spiel that I wanted to give. There's also so many people that we could thank for the first half of the season, and I'm not gonna name names now because I just feel like there's so many, and I will inevitably forget some. But a huge thank you to everyone that's played, a huge thank you to everyone that's been involved. I'm very excited for the second half, very excited to get the website going on Game Week 20 on Wednesday and to kick on from there. So before we go, I'm going to ask each of you guys, looking ahead to the second half of the season, how are you feeling about your team? Where are you hoping to finish? And how do you see it going for you from here on in? So we'll go with the two zombie boys for it first. We've been doing our zombie draft there. If you haven't seen that, go and have a little look, give them a rate, see who you think's the best. Andy Martin, what do you think?
I'm excited to have a new team set up. I've now got Varane captain, so I'm hoping he can push on and do a bit better than he's done first half of the season. Personally, I'm just in it to beat you, Dave, really. That's what it comes down to.
It's going to be disappointing for you, but...
I try my best. Yeah, I'm just happy with how it's going. More drama. That's what I want to see in the streams. More drama, more heartbreak. The more
That's not possible.
the more profile pics that Luke put up, I just want to see that player's got a red card coming. So that kind of thing. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So someone asked a question. I can't actually see it right now, but someone asked a question like, how many times do you have to sim it to get Borough to get to the top of the league and to get Spurs up into Europe and all that sort of stuff? It was a FPL booster, and honestly, I feel like 75% of the weeks when we sim it, I just look at it and think, I can't believe that thing has happened. But that's the joy of this game. It creates moments, and it's worked out very nicely. I'm hoping for a postponed match. That would be fun.
Yeah, let's hope for like snow. That'd be nice
exactly.
coming
Snow.
Oh, can that happen?
Yeah, that can happen. Yeah.
That would be brutal.
If you see a tweet coming out from the scout on like a Friday, like, oh, there's heavy weather forecast this weekend or something, watch out.
So will you notify people or not?
I don't know. We'll have to decide. It depends what sort of a mood we're in that week, I guess.
You lot are so sadistic.
Not only that, James, but the weather affects how they play. So if they're like short passing, that team's absolutely done for, mate.
Oh, I knew that you'd know that. I'll be straight in your DMs, mate.
What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to randomly one week put out a tweet being like, oh, it's really heavy rain this weekend. That is evil.
Luke, I reckon they already know there's 3 games off this coming week.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, Blank Game Week 22 and there's only 2 matches, right? So, Jamie, how about you?
What am I going to do if there's no games in game week 22? I'm just going to sit here for 2.5 hours.
I know you've only got 4 already, but I'm sure if anyone can do it, mate, you can do it. Jamie, you drafted today. How are you feeling about your team in the second half of the season?
I was feeling better before Luke started telling me what's going to go wrong with it. But I think I enjoyed doing a draft, and I don't do the draft that often. I enjoyed doing it, and maybe I should have gone into it with a bit of a strategy. But I'm pretty happy with the team. It's going to be sad, like so Viduka or whoever who I had in my zombie before. If they do well, now it's going to be upsetting that they're points against me. But I think I've picked a decent team or some decent players from the first half of the season perspective, maybe. And I don't mind. I don't expect to beat you guys with a better knowledge, but see where I come. I picked a terrible zombie team and I've thrashed Andy. So
I've had 4 players every week, so that's
I'll take it.
You're gonna beat me.
I'll take it. And it was a good shout to do a draft because now nobody has overlapping players, so it's all or nothing.
Yeah, nice. I'm definitely backing you for a top 4 finish, mate. I think you got it in you.
Big 4.
I noticed actually, so Rory, FPL FOMO, who's been helping us recently, has got involved with the team. I don't know if you saw this, but in our little chat, he said, oh, guys, yeah, I do a draft league, a cash draft league. Why don't you join that? So I'm not sure if I took that to mean that we did a good job or that we did a really bad job and he just wants us to get in his cash draft league, but we should do another one. Right, we'll move on. Luke, second half of the season, how are you set up? What's it looking like for you, mate?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on what Jamie said there, and Rory is another one. He started the hashtag knowledge is not power because there's so much. There's just the right blend, I think, in this game of randomness. You can sim it as many times as you want, but we're in this particular sim, aren't we? And anything can. I mean, you guys know as well. You can play 1 week and then you could quit out and play it again, even with this exact one you're in potentially, and you'd get different scores and results. So. It's just a general guide, really, and I'm pretty happy. I'm top 100 at the moment. I think I'm like 90th or something like that. I've pretty much been there since like game week 3. I think in game week 3, I had a chance to be top 10. I think Jamie will tell you if I didn't balls up my bench and my substitution that week, and I would have gone to top 10 and been like the top scorer of the week. I didn't do that, and then ever since I've just stayed at 90 pretty much the whole season. So for me, I just want to get top 50. If I get top 50, I'll be more than happy. And just, in fact, scrap that. I just don't want to get another red card all season, and then I'm happy. I think I've had that 6 by now, I think. So, yeah, I'll be happy with that.
See you Wednesday, Luke.
Oh, God. Don't. I can't take anymore.
Nice. That sounds good. James, it comes to you last.
Well, I'm 10 points behind Luke. I'm going for first, mate. None of this. He's aim high, mate. Aim high. Definitely.
See, I'm not as confident as you, James. I need some of that confidence. Send it to me.
Yeah, well, Yeah, if you have to look at this in the mirror, then you have to find your confidence in other ways, mate. No, I'm 10 points off you. And actually, I want to touch on this a little bit because I think it's fascinating that obviously exactly what Luke said about the knowledge of power. And Luke's been so unlucky with some of his decisions. But obviously, Luke's into all the detail and obviously regularly watch Luke's videos. But I only watch Luke's videos after I've already made my own decisions because I know if I listen to this guy, I'm going to be influenced. And I attack it from a completely different perspective of I'm just attacking fixtures over and over again, and it's interesting that we're not far off each other at the moment. I think I can maneuver the fixtures in a way that will help, but I need luck to run. So like I thought I was in a great position, and now I'm looking at possibly even a -12 for this game week with Gerrard on 90%, Viduka on 82%, Poyet out long term, Beckham out long term. Suddenly I was in a strong position to going and I'm looking at the bench and going, I've got Rufus and Jensen against Man United. I might need to do something about this. And Stubbs away to Chelsea. So I feel like I probably need to take some action now. So I'm gonna hit red almost certainly, but I think I'll come out of it all right. Top 10 would be amazing. I mean, top 50 in this would be an extremely good finish.
Yeah, I think so. There's so many good players. And sorry, just about it again, but the last bit I wanted to say is there is so many different ways you can approach playing this game, and there's no proven way that says that it works. I mean, I also look at fixtures and matchups generally, but the problem with that is you don't always know who's going to play. So you can sort of pick out a fixture and say, Viduka might be up against Monk like he was this time, but Monk's come from nowhere there. He's only played 3 games all season. So to see that, you can get it down to a more basic level, and basically Southampton are terrible defensively. That's as far as you need to go on that, really. But some people follow the form, they follow, shots on target and stuff. I don't look at that at all personally, but I know it works for some people. And yeah, that's just what makes this game so great for me, that you can approach it from virtually any angle and do well or terrible.
Nice. All right, then.
I want to echo that point that was made very briefly in that comment. There's a lot of really good fantasy players playing. I'm watching every week when I'm watching the leaderboards and getting into people's teams and having a look at why they've done well for the leaderboards and the tweets. There's some top class maneuvers going on.
Nice, yeah, there are.
Sitting an average above the rest.
Yeah. When you see that top 10, they're getting 20, 25 above the average every single week. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, well, and also J.W. Crilly, who's started late, and he would almost certainly be top, I think, if he. Yeah, he's just getting decision after decision right. So there's some great managers out there. It's been. I've got to say, so when we set it up, we didn't know what it was going to be like. We thought it might work. It's translated so well to the game's translated so well to fantasy football. It just works brilliantly. So, and it's been amazing to see how everyone's got involved with it. I think that's probably a good place to leave it. Has anyone got any final words? Anything they'd like to say about the season? This is your moment, James.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
That's it. Yeah.
From everybody.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, thanks, mate, and thank you to you for your streams. Obviously, they've really made it and been absolutely fantastic. So a big thank you to you and Captain as well. And I think I don't have to speak for all of us because the other two are here. But from my perspective, it's been a pleasure, and I've really enjoyed it. It's been lots of work, but it's been very, very good. I'll let Jamie and Andy can speak for themselves.
That first few games, and especially when the stream came in, I remember clearly thinking, I was desperate for football to come back. It didn't look like it was coming back anytime soon. It almost felt like it did come back. It was James's stream more than anything that made it feel that way, I think. So thank you, James.
Thank you, pal.
Yeah, just thanks to the whole community just diving in. Football's felt like it's back. It's not gone away from me, and it's just enjoying interacting with everyone. So thank you, everyone.
I must be amongst the few select people who's incredibly disappointed that real football is back. I don't want to leave this game. I've got my niche. I want to stay involved with this. So yeah, hopefully
it's a shit in the sim and real life. So I'm buggered either way.
Yeah, I don't want to look at my FPL rank. That's the main reason, I think. But I just want these 12 weeks to go, and then hopefully you guys have got things planned for this again. Because we can't do without it. Obviously, we create this whole community off of the when there's a pandemic, and look at a game from 20 years ago nearly, and it works. So hats off again.
Yeah, well, I think on the website now, I think we're well over 500 people who have either imported the teams or signed up. There'll be plenty more than that as well by the time we hit Game Week 20 on Wednesday. Again, some of the questions that we were getting, which we'll talk about next week, but we'll keep going through. If you haven't seen it already, then we're going to be doing, for this next little period while the Premier League's on, at the moment we're looking at doing Saturday 3 p.m. and Wednesday 9 p.m. For the kickoff times. And James and Captain have very kindly agreed to stream. And although we'll have the real Premier League back, we'll be keeping going with this game. And we'll be going through the whole Premier League period. And then once the Premier League season finished, we've still got 3 or 4 more game weeks to crack the end of it. But it's been an amazing community. And yeah, like Andy said, massive thanks to everyone that's made it what it is, because we've done work, James has done the streams, and but really it is the people that make it. It sounds cheesy, but it's true, and it's been brilliant for me. So yeah, I reckon that's a good point to sign off for the evening. And thanks to everyone for tuning in. Good luck in the second half, and hope it goes well. And we'll be back for game week 20. Deadline sits 6:30. James, you'll be streaming from 7:30, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll be there for the Riverside Mother Fudgers. Don't worry.
Nice. And then and Luke will be streaming after that as well. So we'll catch up with you soon. See you on Twitter. Good night, all.
Good night.
Ciao.
Good night.
Cheers, guys. 5 minutes to turn off now. Who can we dig out while Dave's shutting down the stream?
You know what, mate? I've got it all lined up. I was ready to nail it, and now we're chatting. But now I'm going to sign off. So night, all.